So without any further ado, let's get started. Today we'll be discussing how to effectively lobby for the Move to Amend mission, which is to pass the We the People amendment. Here is the agenda for tonight. And we will be covering background of Move to Amend, what lobby is, how to schedule and carry out a lobby meeting, how to form a group, how to organize for that meeting, the actions to take prior to the meeting, how to hold the meeting itself, and the follow-up process that comes afterwards. And so Move to Amend is a coalition of hundreds of organizations all across the country and committed individuals to social and economic justice. We are trying to end corporate rule and build a vibrant democracy that is genuine and accountable to the people and not to corporate interest. Our principles and values include anti-oppression and solidarity organizing, as well as coalition and movement building, grassroots organizing. We are dedicated to political education and maintaining our political and economical independence above all. We don't receive any large donations from corporations or special interest groups, and we operate with a very small budget, yet every congressional session we achieve our goals and have achieved many mighty things that we're going to be discussing a little forward. So our goals, our main goal is to pass the We the People Amendment to make it clear that artificial entities do not have constitutional rights and that money is not a form of free speech. But we also want to be a catalyst for a discussion um, and organizing about how to make real the promise of American democracy through a constitutional renewal. Okay, so amending the Constitution. So there are two ways to amend the Constitution. There is a way that you can go through Congress that requires 2/3 of both House and Senate to pass the amendment resolution. And then you need 3/4 of the states, which is 38 states, to ratify it. There is also going through constitutional convention, which requires 2/3 of the state legislature, which is 34 states, to call for a convention to propose an amendment, and then you need 3/4 of the states to ratify it. Move to Amend is aiming to go to get 2/3 of both House of Representatives and the Senate to pass the amendment resolution. This involves extensive lobbying, education, educating not just the public, but also legislators sometimes, and building a broad coalition of support within Congress and other organizations that could support us. Um, so our strategy involves, like I said, building a broad coalition, which is consistent of many organizations working on issues affected by corporate power. We currently have over 700 organizational endorsements, by the way, which is huge. Every time we talk to one organization, they automatically click that the problem is corporate greed and money in politics, so they right away make the connection. And so we are focusing on building those connections and make it broad and diverse, multiracial and intergenerational as I said, because it encompasses many things. And we prioritize community organizing over just mere activism, focusing on grassroots efforts to pass local and state resolutions calling for this amendment. And we currently have 718 communities and states that have passed public resolutions, at least as of May of this year. Okay, so now let's go over Move to Amend's structure. So Move to Amend has a grassroots structure with affiliates and advocates all over the country. And also, we have national components, including the national team, which Cole and I are part of, and we run the administrative and day-to-day operations of the organization. We also have national caucuses and committees that focus on specific issues or sectors, and we participate in a wide variety of coalition projects with other organizations and groups alike. So this structure allows us to operate effectively both locally and nationally, providing support to all those on the ground volunteers and supporters. All right, so the We the People Amendment, this is what we are pushing towards, the We the People Amendment, which is a very straightforward amendment. It states it's a three-part amendment, which the first part states that artificial entities such as corporations do not have constitutional rights. The second part is money is not free speech, plain and simple. Um, Section 3 is nothing in this amendment shall be construed to abridge freedom from the press, which is very important to clarify. And I'm happy to say that as of today, we have 86 congressional supporters. And if you want to look up if your representative is one of them, you can go to movetomend.org/amendment. And there you can find all the cool sponsors that we have up to date. All right, so what is lobbying? So lobbying is to lawfully attempt to influence the actions, the policies, or the decisions of government officials, most often legislators or members of regulatory agencies. And the goal of lobbying is to educate the representative, create a relationship, and try to, when adequate, try to ask them to take action. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to build that political will for the representatives to take action and support the We the People amendment. And at this point, I would like to pass it over to Cole, who is going to go into a deeper dive into specifics and strategies and best practices when it comes to lobbying.
Hi, everybody. My name is Cole Bennett. I am a national co-director with Move to Amend. I'm our political justice director, which um, is has a lot of legislative stuff looped into it, along with lots of political organizing and other tasks as well. But I just recently finished up my first year with Move to Amend, where I had a fellowship while I was finishing law school. Now that I'm finished with law school, we we've shifted our attention full time to passing the We the People Amendment, getting corporate constitutional rights out of our government. So, like Alfonso said, um, the name of the game today is lobbying, and lobbying is a little bit of a dirty game. Um, you know, Lobbying is why we're here in the first place, because corporations are able to give unlimited amounts of money to candidates for any reason whatsoever, and don't really have to report it. So, um, so while I'm going through this, I want you to kind of keep in mind that Move to Amend, we're not the big time lobbyists. We're not the people with insider connections, and um, that's important. And that I think it actually works in our favor more than to our detriment. But um, let's get into the specifics of how you are going to go about setting up a lobbying meeting with your representative and getting them signed on as a co-sponsor. And as I said, I am pretty young and new at this. I do have a good bit of lobbying experience, lobbying for the We the People Amendment, but there might be some of you in the chats, whether affiliate leaders or just longtime supporters, that um, may have more experience than I do, or have your own particular perspectives on things. And at this point, I would like to let everybody know that I do want this to be somewhat open. And if you do have something that you would like to, an insight that you want to give, or an experience of yours that you would like to share that you think is relevant, I want everyone to know that you are more than welcome to raise your hand and let me know that I should call on you. But first things first, uh, the first thing that you're going to do, you've already completed it. You guys are in this Zoom call. The next thing that you're going to do is go to our website at movetoamend.org, the 118 campaign. There will be a sign up link where you can designate the representative that you're after and go from there. Just in general, our website is going to have a lot of information about how to set up meetings. All the information that we're going to go over is not only going to be sent to you after this meeting, but also is readily available at our website. So yeah. So then we are going to actually schedule the meeting. So once you've decided either whether it's your representative, or maybe your representative has already signed on, maybe your neighbors represent district, another representative in your state that hasn't signed on that can. Again, all that information of whether or not your representative has already become a co-sponsor is available on our website, as well as just information about the We the People Amendment, House Joint Resolution 54 in general. But so starting off, you are going to either call your local office and ask for their scheduler, or in some cases, representatives might have a place on their website for you to set up a meeting. Some representatives, maybe I've reached out to a couple of Republican representatives that it's not fair to just say the Republicans do it. Other people do it as well, but they might have things where you can only use that if you are a member of their district, or located within their district. For that reason, it's probably better to call and ask for their scheduler. But just in general, all of these are going to be guidelines for you to use, what we think is the best way of going about doing this. But I'm a very results-based person, so if you don't follow each of these steps, down to the T, but you still get your representative to sign on, that's okay in my book. So I want you to kind of take these as guidelines, more than suggestions, because a lot of this has to do with there's kind of a weird song and dance that Congress does. But if you see fit to go about it a different way, or just it could be as simple as just calling up your representative and saying you should co-sponsor the We the People Amendment. What we're trying to do here is just get as many people on as possible. August is a great time to do that, especially August of this year, because there is a presidential election going on. So everyone's going to be looking for potential votes and ways they can engage. And again, these people are supposed to represent you and I, so being a constituent is definitely important. So I digress, but so you're going to either call the office, set up a meeting on their website. If you don't hear back from them through either of those channels, please feel free, and this is going to be a theme throughout, please feel free to bother them. Our taxes pay their salaries. I promise you they have time to meet with you, especially about something as important as the We the People Amendment. So at that point, you're going to ask for a meeting to talk about co-sponsoring the We the People Amendment. And then, you want to work out a date with them. If you do get someone from their office, preferably you would like to get it with the representative themselves. But more often than not, you might have to meet with a legislative aide or a legislative director, chief of staff, a member of their staff. Again, in my experience, you're going to want to try as hard as you can to get the actual representative in your meeting, and that's a tall task, but it's more than worth it because sometimes these things get lost in translation, and ours is a cause that is that does resonate with people, and you never know, you never know what might sway somebody one way or the other. So be flexible with them. You want to schedule about a 30-minute meeting with them, and you want to be respectful for their time because they are busy, even though they do work for us. But again, if you don't hear back, try again, and be persistent, because this is really important. And the reality is that we need all of them to be signed on yesterday. In terms of where things are in the country, we have the Supreme Court and everything, kind of going off the rails. As I'm sure you all know, just by being here, this is really important, and so it's important to treat it as such. So again, if you can, call in whatever favors you can to get the actual representative on board. But if not, a member of their staff is fine. It's just, it's going to inform maybe your success rate. It's going to be better to try and get the actual representative. But the instructions for how to set all this up, all of this again is on the website, and we have Google Docs and stuff. I think you might be able to click this link, but I'm not sure. But we have ample resources. All you need to do is ask. We want to make sure that you guys are the most set up to get your representatives on, because again, it is very important. So then you want to start, once you have a meeting scheduled, is when you want to start thinking about what that meeting is going to look like. And so again, these are guidelines. We suggest bringing about 3 to 6 individuals, preferably, constituents of that representative that live in that district. In my experience, that's been a real that's been a real difference maker in meetings, is having people that actually live within their district. Some of this stuff is a little bit intuitive, and again, please feel free. We recommend 3 to 6 people in your meeting just to keep everything kind of focused and on track. But if you find that it might be more beneficial to have 10 or 20 people, go ahead and do that. It is somewhat subjective, but in general, sticking to these guidelines as much as you can is going to result in, especially if you're doing this for the first time, you want to have a nice controlled environment, which is usually around 3 to 6 people, to have each tell their story and, keep everything kind of on topic and not, going over that 30-minute time threshold. Obviously, if any of us, if you're able to set up a meeting, I promise you that I would love to be in it. I would love to talk, ad nauseum about why corporate constitutional rights are bad, why Citizens United is bad. So either getting me, my email is cole@movetoamend.org, or any member of our Move to Amend national team, any longtime volunteers. We all recognize how important this stuff is, and so we are going to be more than happy to help in any step of the way, especially in terms of getting constituents to this meeting. But again, this next bullet point, if you have some connections, I started this by saying that we're not the big corporate lobbyists. We don't have all the connections, but if you do, we have a big network. If you do, call in all the favors you have, because I'm starting to repeat myself, but this is, I'd be hard pressed to find something more important and more, potentially impactful than getting this passed and getting more co-sponsors on, and building this movement. I think now is the time to do that. Um, Biden the other day just proposed. I need to look more into it, but a constitutional amendment about reforming the courts. This stuff is going to be a hot topic, and I think it's going to be a real good time this August to really kind of push the envelope with a lot of these representatives and get your representative on if they are not already. So, again, those are who you bring to a meeting. Who not to bring to a meeting, might be a little bit self-explanatory, but anyone that might potentially hurt your chances of getting that congressperson signed on. Congress people are very fickle, I've found. And you um, you don't want to have a situation where um, it could be someone that's running against the representative that has a poor relationship with them, a group that has a poor relationship with them. In my experience, having people that might talk too much, these are all things you kind of want to consider. And I believe all this stuff is on the website. We have all this information there. So if at any point if at any point you get off track or don't know what I'm talking about, all this will be sent to you as well. So once you got the meeting and once you've reached out to people to be in your meeting with you, which again, I mentioned this briefly, but we can help you with that as well. Then you're going to want to start organizing for that meeting and getting all your materials together to make an impact. And again, this is all stuff that that we can help you with at any step of the way. But you want the amendment language that says that corporations are not individuals in the eyes of the law, and that money is not speech. You want you want to get some numbers about how many people in this district or in this constituency support move to amend. Those are numbers that we can get you. Number of petition signers. Resolutions are a great way to show that this policy is important in your district. A white paper that is just a document that explains kind of the provisions and why we need them. And then again, if you want any more background and resources, you can follow this link. Oops. But it's important to not only send this to the person you're meeting with, whether the representative or the member of their staff. Also, you want to get this to all the people that are going to be attending the meeting with you. That's going to be important just to keep everybody, on topic and making sure that they have all the information that they need. And so what we've done in the past, what I think I would say this is less of a guideline, and I think this is something you really should do just because it helps a lot in my experience. Have a little prep call, have a little practice call before you actually have the representative or their aide on the call to make sure that you are sticking to time, staying on topic. You have a real good message and real persuasive ask. This is going to just help us look professional, or you look professional, which again, we might not find so important, but I can assure you that the congressional offices do. But just, it's a tall enough task to ask people to sign on because, the hard reality is that a lot of them probably are in the pockets of major corporations and the powers that be, but um, you want to make sure that you are making the most compelling argument for this. And in order to do that, I again, if I stress one part of this that you should really, really stick to, you should really, really have a pre-meeting with all of the people that are going to be there. It's not always possible to get everybody there beforehand, but again, I can't tell you how important it is having done ones without a pre-meeting and ones with a pre-meeting. The ones with the pre-meeting have gone much better. So, um, go okay. Some other things you can do. Again, I've said this multiple times, but it's because it's a thing I want to stick with you. You know, we are not, in a lot of ways we are traditional lobbyists, but in a lot of ways we are not, and that's again a strength as much as it is perhaps a detriment to us. But get creative. You know, the fact of the matter is we want to put pressure, as much pressure as we can, on these representatives to.
Seems like we have a little technical difficulties. Hopefully, Cole could come back, but I can pick up where he left. Let me just do a screen share. All right, so I think where Cole left off, he was about to tell us about the ways that you can increase your impact when you go to the meeting. So one of the tools that we use is called one-click politics, which allows people to click just one link, input some information with like a zip code, phone number, then they will get a call, and that way people can seamlessly connect to their representatives. And on the days before the meetings, we would this is somehow some way that we at the national team can help you when you're planning your meetings. We can send out a blast to your area and inviting people, constituents, to reach out to the representative the day of or the day after the meeting, to put on more pressure on them that way. There is also a template on how to submit a letter to the editor. Those are very impactful. I've met with representatives that they have an intern usually, or somebody on their staff just looking, having a Google search, Google alert every time their name comes on the news, whatever that might be, and they bring that letter to the editor or whatever article the representative's name came on to their desk. So it's something that definitely comes to their attention. Then there's also ways, for example, a group of affiliates, volunteers in Arizona held uh, a picket line basically, or outside protesting outside the representative's office during the August recess because they were dragging their feet. And after, I believe it was 2 or 3 days that they were out there with many, many props and different signs. And finally, the representative, which I believe it was Ann Kinpatrick, came on board. And then there is also something that we're going to be talking about at the end, towards the end of the call, which is something that we recently learned from another organization called Midwest Academy, and that is a very helpful tool called the strategy chart. And it's basically a power analysis that helps you understand what are the issues of the things that your representative really deeply cares about, and how you can use those as leverage. And I think Cole is back. Hi, Cole. Are you in a?
Yeah, sorry about that, everybody. My power went out, and my internet went out as well. Alfonso, are you able to screen share? I'm able to keep
Yes.
going here in the dark.
Sure. I was just finishing up that last slide, but here we go. No worries.
Sorry, everybody. I wish I had some kind of quip or lesson here about expect the unexpected, but I don't know what you do if you're on a meeting and your power goes out. It's never happened to me before. But so anyway, I think I was saying, you know, get creative. The important thing is to, you know, put as much pressure without running afoul of your representative. Put as much pressure on them as you can. That could be, you know, call in the office. I've had weeks where I call the office every single day and I say, have you done it yet? Have you done it yet? Um, you know, getting creative beyond regular lobbying stuff. We've seen success in the past. You might have been talking about this, Alfonso and Jenny, but we've seen success in the past when people write a letter to the editor of a local newspaper or some kind of publication. Um, where you say, hey, this is a real problem. We need to do something about it. Also, just so happens that our representative has not signed on yet. So, getting people to that kind of collective pressure, does work sometimes. That can include bird dogging, picketing their office. These are kind of more last resort type things, but get creative because as I've said many times, this is something that needs to get done, and we're going to do it however we can. So I don't know how much you talked about it, but there's also something we use is a power analysis chart. I think we're going to go over that a little bit towards the end, Alfonso. But figuring out what's going to get through to the representative or to their aide enough to get them to bring it up to them and potentially co-sponsor. So now that we've talked about before the meeting, now we want to talk about the actual meeting. Once you do get this time, making the most of it. So you want to have introductions. You want to keep these kind of short, kind of say where everybody is from, their name, where everybody's from. A tip that something that we usually do. I like to think it's usually organic. We meet with a lot of people that do. I feel like I've dogged on members of Congress enough. We do meet with people that do a lot of good, and so just as like you don't have to look at it as buttering them up, but buttering them up a little bit by saying, we just met with Senator Ossoff here in Georgia, and he just passed, or he just introduced. I can't remember what the actual thing we actually thanked him about. I think it was voting rights something, but he just introduced something to ban members of Congress from stating stocks. So something like that. Thank you for being this, democracy champion, or something along those lines, and then maybe use that to kind of go into that's why we think you would be great as a co-sponsor of this important legislation, the We the People Amendment. So once you do that, it's important to be very clear about what it is you're asking, and that is we want you to be a co-sponsor of House Joint Resolution 54, the We the People Amendment. That if there's one thing, make sure that is extremely clear, and it should already be clear just based on the preliminary stuff that you've done in preparation for the meeting. But again, that's why we're here. That's what the meeting is for. That's why you've all volunteered your time. So once you make that ask, then you go into a little bit about the amendment, reference or remind of the resources you sent, the white paper, the language of the amendment. Talk about how popular this is, and again, this is a time to use maybe statistics from that district. This is something your people want. This is something that a certain amount of organizations in your district, or you want to highlight how that this is something that they need to join the movement on, and get with the program on. But okay, and then again, all this is on the website. Okay, next page, Alfonso, please. Okay. So once you've done all that, then you want to have a somewhat brief um, portion of the meeting where you have everyone that you've invited share a personal story. This is, corporate constitutional rights, legislative corruption, um, all the things that we're trying to solve, big money in politics, all the things that we're trying to solve permeates just about every major issue, um, in the United States and our communities. It shouldn't be hard to find, all these connections. And uh, this is when you really want to kind of, link it back to, your personal motivations, why you think this is so important. I always talk about in meetings, like was I didn't I was like researching, how much money is spent in elections, and I just went down this rabbit hole about, you know Citizens United and all this stuff. And so I decided at that point that I was not only going to, kind of dedicate my career to this, but I was going to go to law school to try and figure out how to change it. And so here we are. Um, Pull at the heartstrings if you can. There's a lot of stuff, um, whether it's, insurance companies lobbying, um, to not give benefits or to restrict healthcare to people. These are deeply personal stories, and things that, really will resonate, hopefully, with your representative. Um, Once you've done that, once everybody's kind of gone around, and you want to try and keep this short, this is where, if someone's kind of rambling a lot, you want to maybe bring it back in, make sure, you're restating your ask. We want your representative, or you, if you're speaking to the representative, to co-sponsor the We the People amendment. And then, uh, you know, you want to ask them questions. If it's an aide, you want to ask, what their story is, what their connection is, and try and link all this back together. I love working for Move to Men because it's very easy to do this. It's for better or worse, again, all this stuff is related, and just about anything that, that these people care about as legislative people, whether a representative or a member of their legislative office, there's going to be something there that this connects to. And so try and find that, and try and make this as resonating as you can. So once you've done that, once you've answered any questions that they have, um, then you want to thank them again for meeting with you. And that will conclude the meeting. And Alfonso, if you will go to the next slide. But you're not done. Then it's important to send a thank you email. If they ask for anything during the meeting, make sure that you are able to either, if you're not able to get it to them during the meeting, send them any information that you think is going to be relevant. But it's important in these emails to thank them for their time, and to kind of restate, we want you to come on as a co-sponsor. Here's why. Here's all the materials. Um, all of this stuff is going to be on our website. And beyond that, if you're interested in getting your representative on, all of our staff is going to be happy to help out. I know I certainly will be. So, if you need any help any step this way, whether it's sending a thank you email, getting the next part of the next bullet point here, you want to then send an email to constituents, have them call the office and say, hey, have you had a chance to look over the We the People amendment? Again, this is that pressure, and it's important to be consistent. Once you have a meeting with the office, it's not a given that they're going to respond back to you, even after you had the meeting. So it's important to keep the pressure up and make sure that you do get a response, whether it's good or bad. Hopefully good, but be persistent and kind of keep at it. I've had to, in the offices that I've reached out to, it takes my second or third email before I get a response back, and a lot of the times it's just that it wasn't, you know, super present on their mind. And so, um, you know, we've had people sign on after, you know, on the second or third email that you send, or third or fourth or fifth or 10th email that you send. So it's just a matter of persistence. And, you know, uh, I know when I first started that I had some kind of apprehension about, you know, bothering, um, you know, these offices. And I encourage you to move past that, because, you know, as I've said before, um, you know, our system is real messed up. And, you know, this is the first step that we need to take, and we need to have taken it yesterday. And so, um, it, nothing it's important, and it's important to kind of, you know, to keep that in mind, and to be persistent again. So, okay. And then that just about wraps it up for me. I can't tell you how much I apologize to everybody for being in the dark over here, um, but I'm glad we were able to get through it. We're now going to talk a little bit about this power analysis strategy chart that I mentioned earlier. And then we're going to move into a question and answer. So if you have any questions, you know, kind of be thinking those over in your head. And yeah, and I think I got through everything, but if I'm missing anything, you know, Alfonso, Jenny, or anybody, you know, please feel free um, to chime in. But I will send it on over back to you, Alfonso.
Thanks, Cole. And don't worry, you did a fantastic job. Tip of the hat to you for pushing through even in the dark. All right, so now that oh, and I saw a question in the chat. We're gonna be sending the slides along with other resources and information that we went over tonight in a follow-up email shortly after this call. Okay, so now that we have covered the main components of lobbying, I would like to introduce you to a powerful tool that we actually learned about recently, thanks to our friends, an ally organization called Midwest Academy. Their info is down there at the bottom of that image. If you can see that properly, let me know. Maybe I can try to make it a little bigger if people are having trouble. I know it's kind of small and it's just pretty blank, but that's the idea, so that you guys can use that. We are going to be sending this resource as well so that you can use it in your lobby planning. So this is a tool that helps us organize our efforts and ensure that we strategically move towards our goals. um, so we're going to do a quick go through together using this blank strategy chart, and then hopefully you can relate it to your specific cases. Uh, so as you can see, we have goals on one side, and the goal or the long-term vision in this case is ending corporate rule and creating real democracy on a livable planet. So our intermediate goal is to pass the We the People Amendment, and our short-term goal is to gain more congressional co-sponsors. So here's where you guys come in, and we need to focus on who the decision maker is, who then becomes our target, and maybe that's not the right word, but that's how they have it here in the chart. We can call it just a decision maker that we want to influence. So this decision maker is the person that our group wants to influence, and we need to learn more about them. What is it that they want? What is it that they care? So we want to focus on the specific member. It could be also the legislative staffer that we're going to be meeting. Right now, I can show you some of the examples that we have done for the meetings we had recently. We were in DC this past June and July, in some solidarity also with many organizations over there. But I digress. So this is how we go into detail to see how we can move this person or aid to support the We the People Amendment. And then we look at what are the organizational considerations. This section covers what we need to consider within our own organization or group to achieve the goal. and think about this as the resources that we have, those that we want to get, and those obstacles or things like that are against us that we're going to be facing, and how we can go about those to overcome them, mobilize them, or potentially turn them into allies. So the resources, again, what groups are out there in the community that might be supporters, uh, that might help with funding, materials, etc. What is it that we need? Is it funding? Is it more volunteers? Is it better training? And then the limitations could be the staff that are putting roadblock, or maybe it's just lack of awareness, and we may have to have a session with the staff person to educate them on what the with the people amendment is. And also what who are the constituents and allies that we have at our disposal. We need to identify people, groups that might be able to support us, our cause, and that can help us achieve our goals. So these individuals might be coalition partners, could be your neighbor, could be anybody. So it's important to explore all the possibilities. And this is something that you can do with your group once you identify some people that want to be part of this lobby meeting. This is something that you can all do together. And also we're more than happy to we the staff member to be part of those planning meetings and help you prepare and even be at the meeting with you to answer any potential questions. And then we look at the tactics, which are the actions that we can take to reach our goals. And these should be specific. Sometimes there are time-bound activities aimed to influence the target. Uh, for example, you could, besides, this could include the lobbying visit itself, but it could also be public demonstrations, like I was telling you about the case in Arizona, where some volunteers had many meetings with the representative, have tried every possible avenue on the conventional way of things, but they were still dragging their feet. So all it took was 3 days, I believe it was, people out there with signs. There was a really cute cow costume. I don't recall what it was that the sign read, but it was pretty funny. People were driving by, could see the signs. It was gaining a lot of traction.
Move to amend.
Move, yeah, there we go. Move to amend. So those are examples of what you can do that are not so orthodox or traditionally, but they work. They deliver the results. Uh, so yeah, so then we go to, well, this is pretty much all it is, a chart, but I would like to open it up to you. How do you see do you see this helping you better organize? Were you planning to lobby your representative, and do you see yourself using this? I would just like to open it up. Maybe we can just transition into Q&A now. So open stack for anybody who has questions about the chart itself, or the whole training itself. I cannot see the slide clearly. Oh, sorry about that, Anna. I'm gonna try to make it a little bigger if possible. Yeah. But yeah, if anyone has a question, feel free to unmute yourself. And I haven't been looking at the chat.
Uh, Also, I'll say, if any part of this is confusing, just kind of getting started and deciding that you want to reach out to your representative and you're going to try and spearhead that. We are going to be there, just about every step of the way to help you if you need it. However much help you need or don't need. We are going to be there to answer questions, not just on this, but just in general. So
Just to Jamie. So I'm gonna drop the image in the chat so that you can open it, and maybe that helps, because on my end, I think that's as much as I can zoom in. But we are also going to be including this chart on the email, the follow-up email with resources, as well as the recording of this event. But yeah, does anybody have any questions? Let me look at the chat.
Hi, this is Anna. Can you hear me?
Yes, Anna, go ahead.
Oh, great. I didn't see the raise the hand thing, so I didn't know how to get your attention. So I have called my representative about this, and I found out who the co-sponsors were, and I informed the staff, but that's as far as I can go. So I've tried to initiate. I have not tried to call them repeatedly, so maybe that's what I need to do next. Because the staff just doesn't, I've called them quite a few times on several different issues, but I can't get past the staff. There's like no way. I don't know what else to do. But I thought if I can keep calling, maybe that will put some pressure on them.
Yeah, Alfonso, do you want me to take this one?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, in my experience, first of all, thank you for the question. But in my experience, it's the unfortunate fact that the squeaky wheel gets greased, and you know, I think there's a fine line between being persistent and um, running afoul of the office. But at the end of the day, they're there to supposedly to represent their constituents and listen to their constituents. So sometimes you just gotta you know um, what's the analogy? What's the saying I'm trying to do here? You want to try and be unfortunately as annoying as possible,
Okay.
because a lot of these people, when you're dealing with the legislative staff and stuff, it's younger people,
Yeah.
it's people, and everyone's super busy, especially at the federal level, and so
Yeah.
it usually is
So
just a matter
just
of
keep doing it. Just keep
keep
calling. Just
keep
keep
calling.
calling. Just let them
And it,
know that you're not going away until
yeah, because
you get some result.
they would love nothing more. Sorry, I'm interrupting, but
No, no, no.
they would love nothing more than to not worry about this. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, and especially in whether I think there's something in the chat about Republican representatives. Just make it a priority to make them tell you no, basically, because
Okay. Get a response.
And I would
yeah,
like
Keep
to add,
calling until you get a yes or no. And I
basically,
and
yeah,
I keep
and again,
referring them back to the co-sponsors in our area that are supporting it.
right,
Um, and I just named them all.
right.
So I use that as my strategy. Well, so and so and so and so and so and so are co-sponsors. Can you be a co-sponsor? And the other question I had was in the chat. Something I saw on PBS about I can't remember the topic, but it made me think I don't I've never donated money to a campaign ever. And then I was watching something, and the way they said it made me think that, wait a second, maybe this is how you get them to help. So somebody put in the chat saying, I'd be willing to donate some money. I don't know what that amount is. I
yeah,
can't
that
afford
was
a lot, but do I wait until they do the co-sponsor, or do I give them the money up front? You know what I mean? To entice them. And I didn't know that was a leverage. I didn't know that was a thing to do. If I didn't see that PBS documentary on something, um, I would have never thought twice. So can you kind of like comment on donations and stuff like that and how that can help us, even like on personal issues that we have? I didn't know that they can check to see who donates. I know
I
that. Yeah,
I
go
could
ahead.
talk to
Sorry.
that. No, no worries. So yeah, that is an idea that actually one of our longtime affiliates suggested that they do personally. I've tried it. It works sometimes, but most of those texts that you get are automatic messages, so it doesn't really. It's not like a conversation you can engage. But sometimes you do get those personalized texts from real people that are doing text banking, so you can try to talk with them. Doesn't always work. Going back to the persistence part, one thing that I found is that one interns do keep a tally every call that they receive about certain subject. They do keep a tally about that, and that might be about the only thing that they report to their boss, but they still
Okay.
tally. I've had more success calling the local office personally than the DC. So you can try that, especially now that they're gonna be going back to their districts.
Oh, okay.
That is one thing that you can try. It might
I
be
thought it was the opposite. Sometimes I call both locations 'cause I don't know if they communicate. Okay.
no worries. I also see that there are a couple of hands raised up. I think Michael was first and then Abby. So you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, is the representative? She's talking about a Democrat or a Republican.
Hmm.
Because I was gonna say, man, I know there's some Democrats who don't like money in politics but aren't co-sponsoring either because they think nonprofits should have constitutional rights or because they think corporations need some rights to function. In fact, I put in the chat something about the crisis pregnancy center case in California. I mean, I think we should make a big issue of that because that's both the reason why artificial entities not having constitutional rights must apply to nonprofits as well. And it's also an example of why just getting money out of politics isn't enough, why we have to abolish all constitutional rights for artificial entities. And maybe they don't understand that the privileges that corporations and nonprofits need to function. We've already, by saying they don't have constitutional rights, we just say, well, we'll legislate privileges they need to function statutorily. So they still would have the statutory privileges we, the people, choose to give them. They just wouldn't have any inherent and alienable rights under the Constitution. So I wonder if the sub representatives aren't co-sponsoring because they don't understand that, or they think nonprofits should have constitutional rights. So I think crisis pregnancy center case should be made a big deal of because that would kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is all. Thanks for the question, Michael. This is all stuff that there's a lot of things that come up in these meetings that maybe maybe not in your case, but in someone else's case, they might not know the answer to. That's okay. Just understanding kind of the basics of what we're trying to do is good. But I definitely am with you on the it's crisis. I'm with you on that. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be all kinds of things that may come up. What's really important is more people knowing about the We the People Amendment and really forcing that issue. But I do want to get everybody's question, and my phone is unfortunately going to.
I thought it's also important to know the reasons why just getting money out of politics is not enough. We want
Right.
to abolish all constitutional rights,
Yeah.
not just get money out of politics.
Right.
And that's
Right.
an example of why.
I do want to get to everybody's question, and unfortunately, I think my phone's on like 3%, and I cannot believe my power went out. But so I do want to get to everybody's question though. So Abby, do you have a question?
Yeah, I think it's sort of playing off some of what we've already been talking about, but I'm curious, in lobbying meetings, have representatives brought up specific concerns about why they don't want to co-sponsor the bill, and what have those been?
Yeah. Alfonso, why don't you take that?
I'd be happy to answer that. So there's been many reasons brought up. It could be politics. I don't want to give all the details, but we have had conversations with representatives with the just differences between our lead sponsor and their ideas on certain things might be an issue. It also may be like Michael said, not knowing enough about the amendment. There's been uh, many reasons, but most of them is they might say some of those things, but it is actually that they're getting money from big corporations, and they're be shooting their foot in their they'll be shooting themselves on the foot. But I see Janie has their hand up. Maybe you wanna comment on that, Janie?
Yeah, it was something different, but that is a good question. And, generally they don't tell you why, is what I have found, sometimes, more often than not, unless it's constituents going into their offices, you're going to meet with a staffer. And then the staffer, for whatever reason, we were there 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and folks still haven't brought it to their boss yet, so it's digging in and finding out. Each one is different. There's 500 personalities in the house alone. So there's that little bit of a challenge. So everyone's will be different. Yeah. It could be, we have one that says it's Democratic leadership that said once you get 50% of the Democratic leadership or the Democrats on board, then they'll sign on. Little things like that. You just never know. Each one is absolutely different. A lot of times they haven't heard about it. They're not educated about it. That's why we really encourage having the constituents meetings as a first step to, to going in and looking them in the eye and telling them, hey, I am a voter in your district, and this is why this is important to me, and this is why I want you to support this. And those are the meetings that more often than not get the results. And, like Cole was talking about, those compelling stories of corporate rule that affect us in our everyday life, whether it's everything. It's healthcare, it's housing, it's our day-to-day things that humans need that corporations are profiting off of. And, while others are being neglected of that. And even if they are beholden to corporations, most elected officials do not want to be. That graphic that I showed with the open secrets, you could see that, they were spending $6 million in our elections. And at that time, we thought that was too much. Now they're spending $650 million per election, and that means that our legislators are spending more time fundraising than they are doing the job that they're hired for. So, they're victims of the system as well. Of course, they're profiting. There's not a non-millionaire amongst them after they've been in office for a couple of years. But I think that's really important to note too. That that's all I wanted to say.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Robert, I see your hands up.
Hey, I'm a precinct chair for the Democratic Party, and I also have a Democratic congresswoman who has not been very receptive on progressive issues, I would say, so far, because this is a pretty conservative state, though she's in a very safe district. It's one of those districts where she's going to win no matter what she does. So I think she is worth working on. But my question is, I have called her many times in the past, and never actually been able to speak with her, though I never did actually ask for a meeting. I was just pushing on another issue. But I think it would be more effective if I had more people. And I'm just wondering, will I be able to get in touch with other people in my district, or at least in my state, who also feel strongly about this, so we can help each other out? And also I can reach out to people in my party. I'm on the state executive committee. I can do that, but this is a very conservative state. So I'd just like to know, who else has done anything as far as resolutions in my district and so on and so forth. So if you can share that information, you don't have to do it now, but if you share that information with me when it's a good time to do it, I really appreciate it, because this is a very important issue to me, because I think there's so many problems in this country that go back to this one keystone problem that we've had screwing everything up for decades.
Absolutely. And yes, to your question, we have a huge database with a lot of people all over the country. I'm gonna be sending well, we probably have your email since you're registered, but I'm gonna be putting mine in the chat so that you can reach out to me and we can see how many volunteers we have in the area and if there has been any
That'd be
resolution.
great. Okay. I'll unmute.
That's my email. Any other questions? And I want to acknowledge that we are 12 minutes or past the hour, but happy to stay longer if there are any other questions. Janet, yeah, go ahead. Oh, there you go.
Hi, Alfonso. Sorry I'm late. I was on the other meeting, the book study, so I just got off that. But I really wanted to connect with you, so I'm glad you're still on. I'm working on a writing campaign in District 10 for Congress, and I may not succeed in writing campaign. In fact, it's likely that I won't. But I am making a lot of connections, and I was going to apply for the standing of an advocate for you. I'm going to do that tomorrow. So when I do that, I'd like to communicate with you and Greg about getting that support for District 10 and really, Texas wide. If I can do anything to help statewide, I'd certainly like to be available too. So I wanted to reconnect you on that.
Yes, that is a great segue to another campaign that we have called the Pledge to Amend, where we try to get all candidates from dog catcher to mayor or even president of the U.S., which, by the way, Kamala Harris, who apparently is going to be the nominee, took the pledge to amend when she was senator of California. To your question, Yanis, yes, we can work on that. We have this campaign where candidates pledge to use their office, if elected, to advance with the People Amendment. And how many we have so far? Like 300, 325, something like that, Jenny? And there's
303.
303, yeah, 309 candidates nationwide that have taken that pledge. So yeah, definitely
Well,
reaching out to you.
yeah, I'll certainly do that if I'm miraculously elected. But even if I'm not, I come in contact and I'm collecting signatures for the write-in really hardcore for the next month. And I'll be coming in contact, and everyone I talk to is a potential move to amend ask. So, but I just wanted to personally connect with you today
Thank
because
you.
this is coming up and I want to take care of all of my paperwork tomorrow so I can get going with that.
Awesome.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Forward to that and making your graphic for that. We make a graphic for all those candidates that take the pledge as a thank you, and it's also good publicity for them. So it's a win-win. Also, we're gonna be in DC, not in DC, but at the DNC in Chicago. So if you are near Chicago and want to connect with us, then we would be more than happy to. And we have an ongoing meeting every Tuesday. Today we met at 3 Central to do the planning for that. So if you are interested in connecting with that work, please let me know. Again, my email is in the chat. But just wanna give it a last chance for anyone if there's any questions before. Yeah, go ahead, Jenny.
Abby, I noticed you're from Minnesota. I just want to name that we have a wonderful state coalition in Minnesota. You've probably plugged in with them before, but they have garnered over 40 reps in the pledge campaign so far. And they plan to introduce a state resolution in support of the We the People Amendment this year. So I know they would love to have you join their efforts in making that happen. They have a really good chance. It was just because of the states derailing over, the crazy scandals that went on, which, they're everywhere. But no, with the break-in and all that, things came to a screeching halt and COVID. But nobody had said no. They weren't going to support it, but they pulled it so they could be reintroduced. So I just wanted to let you know about that. They have a fantastic state affiliate there.
That's awesome to know. Thank you.
Yep, they are great, very active affiliate group. All right. Any last minute questions? And again, we're going to be sending the recording along with all the resources and the slides on an email shortly after this call. But if there are no other questions, it was great. Thank you all for joining us. And again, we're going to be playing a little outro clip with some music and contact information at the end if you want to stick around for that. Otherwise, thank you all so much for being here, and onward, we can make this happen. All it takes is people power, and we got plenty. So in solidarity, see you next time.
Corporations are not people too. Money is not speech. Man, in fact, it's the root of all right now. We have the right to be free. Corporations are not people too. Money is not speech. Man, in fact, it's the root of all right now. Stand up and defend your democracy.
Have you recently read the Constitution? There seems to be some type of confusion. I thought it said the people were the institution and not the corporations that simply want to use them. The truth is currently a fusion of corporate loot and our government that is outright abusive. People need change. The state, it refuses. They're saying we're mistaken. Well, show us where the proof is. They control the media, movies, and the music, and determine where supplies of the water and food live. We need a strategy. Here is a solution. Build a movement to give our rulers improvements. An infusion of human to counteract the hubris that has our ecosystem near useless and our youth pissed. The founding fathers were flawed, but they knew this, so they gave us the tools to move with. Let's use them.
Corporations are not people too. Money is not speech. Man, in fact, it's the root of all right now. And it's time to take to these streets. Corporations are not people too. Money is not speech. Man, in fact, it's the root of all right now. So get on out of your seats.
Citizens United is the lie. Corporation doesn't know life, nor does it die. Profits from the 100 richest fictions alone in 1 year can make all of poverty gone. The Republicans are lost. Democrats bought. Most American people have forgotten that we fought for healthcare, education, services, and safety. It wasn't kindness, it was war that ended slavery. Not advocating violence, I am saying that lately a lot of folks is dying in ways that seem shady. A lot of students is hiding from debt that they can't beat and asked to be excited about a future they can't see. It's not a climate crisis, it's a corporate crisis, because a corporation can never know what life is. Only a human can. What's the solution then? Amend the Constitution or it's revolution, man?
Corporations are not people too. Money is not speech. Men, in fact, it's the root of all right now. To us to educate and to reach. Corporations are not people too. Money is not speech. Men, in fact, it's the root of all right now. Which side of the fence you find your feet?
Hip-hop never died, the corporation stole it and told us with bonus that we never owned it. They just loaned it out for the moment. It's a policy and culture matrix. When corporations shape it, only the profits hold it sacred, though they stole to make them. We don't have the convenience of giving up. Gotta swallow all of the real, even if it comes from sippy cups. It's not a matter of political correctness. It's a matter of having the knowledge of what respect is. You can't defend humanity without joining it. This is our responsibility. Let's stop avoiding it. Instituting love as a practice and overcoming the fascists to achieve the democratic, economic, and ecological collapse. I am not being neurotic. I simply offer the fact. We the people are under a monster's attack. It's time to rise, open the eyes, and take our democracy back.
Corporations are not people too. Money is not speech. Men, in fact, it's the root of all right now. We will not admit defeat.